What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is April 21st of 2018. Well, folks, today I have a really exciting interview here today with a project that I previously covered on the channel as one of the top 3 ICOs I was watching in Q2 of 2018. Today I'm visited by Dan, who is the founder behind Morpheus Network, one of the upcoming projects that I've gotten really excited about in regards to supply chain logistics. Dan, thank you so much for coming on. I'm really excited to have you and talk a little bit about Morpheus Network.
Oh, super excited to be here, Nick. Thanks so much for having me on the show today. And I'm excited to talk about the project. So ask me anything you'd like, sir.
Awesome stuff. Well, just to let you guys know, I'm a little bit sick right now, so I apologize if my nose is a little bit stuffed up, but we do have some interesting things to go over. I want to definitely kind of dive into some of the basics first and foremost, guys, but also dive into some deeper questions and some announcements that came with the Morpheus Network. So, Dan, I want to start off right off the bat here. I know generally what Morpheus Network is. I've covered it on the channel before, and we all know generally that it's about supply chain logistics. But could you give a quick rundown in regards to what Morpheus Network is trying to achieve and generally how it stands out against the competition?
Yeah, generally, if as you said, we're speaking about the platform. First of all, thanks for doing the interview today. Not feeling 100%, so thank you for that.
Problem.
Yeah. So yes, the platform itself is an automated supply chain system, as you had mentioned as well. And what we're looking to do is basically optimize global trade. Global trade is basically a whole bunch of different steps that companies have to take in order to complete their transactions successfully. So what we're doing with the platform is taking these specific steps, which are actually run very inefficiently in a general sense nowadays, and putting them into smart contracts, optimizing them for global trade, speeding up how people basically get their business done, allowing people to concentrate on their actual products, on their actual clients, letting the supply chain logistics and the complexities within that world being handled for them through this platform.
Definitely. I think you guys have a really interesting kind of pitch here in regards to what you're doing, because the thing that really caught me is, again, the amount of inefficiencies in the supply chain market. When I was going through the white paper, I saw that not only were you guys helping to automate the systems of supply chain logistics with smart contracts, but I really found it fascinating that you guys were able to, with the Swift integration and your technology, be able to kind of jumpstart past all of the foreign exchange transfer fees that get in the middle of in regards to supply chain logistics and dealing with multiple different countries. So it was interesting to see that there was some cost savings, there's automation, and it really makes use of blockchain, as I've been believing with supply chain logistics for a while. So anyways, that's awesome. Definitely good to see that we got a base concept here. I want to go ahead and kind of talk about where you guys are right now, because I think it's great to kind of sell the idea of it. I think it's an idea that can take off in the long term, but I'd really like to hear where you guys are right now. Share it with the audience. I know that you had just recently released an MVP video that I tweeted about. I was really excited to see that you guys already have this before you've even raised your capital. So definitely spend some time talking about that if you want.
Yeah, the MVP, release is something we're very excited to show everybody, because we put a lot of work into it, obviously, even at this stage, before finishing the token sale itself. So, the way the MVP is actually structured is actually to be usable by importers and exporters right off the bat. That's sort of the angle we took, on, is not to make it complex. And people think that they're, leveraging blockchain technologies to optimize their supply chain. That sounds like a very complicated premise. But when they see the platform and see how it's simple drag and drop, layering these different technologies and taking advantage of them for your own business, that was the angle where we were sort of taking to get people to use it right away. And I think we achieved our goal. And I'm super excited to say that all the feedback we've gotten has been extremely positive. People love the slick design, the different modules that we're integrating. And we're excited to for future releases and showing how connecting all these different modules together, and really what how we're going to put together this optimal global trade system. So
definitely, yeah. I think it's really exciting. When I was going through it, just to let you guys know, if you haven't seen the video, and I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to check it out. The major thing to understand with Morpheus Network is that it's not only built on top of the Ethereum blockchain, but along with that as well, it's a kind of software interface that users will be able to interact with. It's not just some kind of back-end technology that's complex to use. So if you're wanting to go out in regards to using Morpheus Network to kind of automate the supply chain process, or to kind of cut out the burdens of the traditional industry, you're able to use this platform. platform. It's very simple. They have modules that help you build and integrate with legacy systems, which is very, very key and important. They already have, so far, I think, Dan, remember from the video, you guys had, I'm trying to think of the name right now.
We're integrating with FedEx, with
FedEx.
UPS system, DHL as well.
That's what I was thinking about. Sorry.
So you're setting up not only shipping, but you're actually using their tracking technologies as objectives within your smart contract. So you're going to use a tracking confirmation to set off your next objective, which can be a final payment, for example.
Definitely. That's the thing. I think what you see with a lot of projects is the championing of smart contracts, but what we've realized is that unless you have integrations with traditional business systems, business application of smart contracts aren't going to be that smart. So I think that that's really key that you guys have that so far, that you have them functioning already in the alpha, at least for some of the big names like FedEx and DHL. So it's good to see. I think that's really awesome. I'm curious so far in regards to the MVP, because this is early stage. I do have some kind of critical questions I want to ask you that I was thinking about. So I was talking to someone recently about Morpheus Network, and we were discussing the topic of, the automation process of smart contracts. It sounds really great on paper. I think it's a cool process to be able to set it where, for example, if you watch the base video that Morpheus has, guys, on their website, they were talking about how there's an electric car company, it reaches low supply in its vehicles, and then it sends out an automated response to fill the order and to manufacture the car and transport it. So it's a really cool concept on paper, and I think it could be used in the mainstream. But the problem I was curious about, and I want to see if Dan, Morpheus has a solution to this, is let's say we all know in the supply chain logistics market that something tends to always go wrong from time to time. In this process of smart contracts, which are finite and that are executed and immutable on the blockchain, is there a system where Morpheus can make sure that it doesn't overstep those bounds if one of the players in the supply chain can't meet their obligations?
Yes, definitely. That's that is a very viable question, and that happens, in traditional supply chains all the time when there's a delay in a product or whatever it might be. So, basically what we're incorporating in the system, it's communicated smart contracts, right? So those objectives have to be fired off based on another objective being completed. So a delay would hold off other objectives from going off, and basically the communication between these different suppliers would, definitely, it's something that, actually myself and Roger Crook, it's one of the creative aspects of supply chain, and these workarounds and other delays when it comes to customs and, other sort of things that can slow up and back up your supply chain. They're real things, and I can't just say to you, our solution is to get around it and those delays cannot happen. They will definitely happen, but we have solutions to make it so the rest of the supply chain isn't, in a sense, misconfigured. It can be a part of, the objective when it is actually completed properly. So. Great question, though.
Yeah. No, I'm just, because I was concerned, because I think, again, you work in the industry for 20 plus years and stuff, that tended to be a huge issue.
Not quite 20 years, just over 15.
15. All right, sorry about that. Sorry, yeah, you've got the whole team's stacked, though. I got to give you guys credit, though, in regards to the team and advisors. So I think, actually, that'd be a good kind of topic to talk about here, because it was one of the things that really interested me. When I look for projects and upcoming kind of ICOs in the space, the thing that I really look for, especially in something like this, where there's such a good application for blockchain technology and smart contracts, is the team and advisors. So when I found Morpheus Network, I was really excited to see people not only who, some of which have experience in the blockchain space, but people who have years upon years of experience in the space with supply chain logistics, which is what you guys are tackling. So I want to go ahead, give you some time here. I know some of the big names. You've got Charlie Shrim as an advisor. You guys just recently locked on Simon Cocking as well as an advisor, but you've also got one of the former CEOs of DHL. So definitely, Dan, I'd love to hear what you think about it. I mean, you've definitely built up a team, and not only a product, but a team as well. So I'll give you that.
Thank you. No, I'm honored and I'm flattered that I'm working with, these amazing people. And, when it comes to Roger Crook, the former CEO of DHL Global, we've actually developed quite a close relationship. The MVP video wasn't necessarily supposed to be as extensive as it was, but, me and Roger just kind of in our conversation and stuff. So I think people got a little glimpse into that. And the experience he has in supply chain is just unmatched. Having him on the team and supporting us with his knowledge and also instilling us the confidence that we're doing this properly. We're putting this together. His inside networks are just unreal, and tapping into that as well as tapping into the networks from the other advisors that you mentioned as well, and the rest of our team. We're working hard, and I think that hard work and reaching out to people, and I think that's how we've built this amazing team as well. Just having these conversations and telling people what we're doing. Basically with optimizing global trade, and people. They had like Charlie, for example, Charlie Shrem, as you mentioned. He's been interested in global trade for years and breaking down the barriers and allowing countries to communicate with each other, and have being able to trade with another country frees up a whole bunch of barriers. So that's something that Charlie was excited about, and he was getting into how governments if they traded properly, they communicate better, and as you can imagine, that goes on a global level. So we're super excited about the team we put together, and we look forward to developing and growing along with them. So
Definitely, yeah. I think it's important. Kind of going back to my original point, I guess I sometimes forget to put it in the right words. The thing about my kind of stance in regards to a team, I think people have a misconception. I really love when no matter what, you can have people on a team who have little to no experience or a lot of experience, and they can still do great. The reason, though, why I look in this case of supply chain logistics, which is a multi-trillion-dollar market, it's a massive global industry. The reason why I think the team being so active in the space for so long is important is because you see some of the names that these individuals have worked at, DHL, a lot of the larger players in the space who work in this industry. And I think it's important to have people on a team who have worked in the industry for years and know the issues in that industry, so they can build the proper software platform in order to actually utilize the benefits of blockchain and smart contracts to fix those issues.
They've seen these problems for years. We just deal with it. Like for over 15 years, like I mentioned, I've been in supply chain, and I know what slows me down, and I know the inefficiencies. You just work through it, and you think that's the system. But blockchain technology unleashes all these abilities that suddenly you don't have to delay a payment for 2 weeks and spend an extra 10% on top just to get it somewhere else in the world. You could a simple cryptocurrency based payment takes care of that, and on a cheaper, optimized way. So I'm super excited about that. Just as an importer exporter, but obviously also as as this platform develops, and onboarding companies, and allowing the world basically to increase the economic growth basically.
Definitely. Well, I'm curious as well, Dan, kind of getting on more of a personal note here. We've obviously talked a lot, but I want to hear from you personally, to tell people a little bit about your experience and stuff. You said you worked for about 15 years and everything, and you're talking about, the burdens of the space and everything. So being the, founder of this project, leading on it, I'd really love to hear, outside of the team and other advisors, your story a little bit, kind of on this whole space.
Definitely. As we mentioned, for over 15 years, I've been in supply chain. I've actually dealt primarily in industrial equipment. So it comes like metalworking equipment, fabrication equipment. A lot of times it doesn't mean anything to people, obviously, but so basically dealing with countries in China, the States, all over Europe. I'm bringing stuff in, shipping stuff out, and I actually control my entire supply chain. Like I was in the middle of it, where a lot of times people are just suppliers, a lot of times people are just bringing stuff in or just shipping stuff out. I was doing both ends of it, and I understand the burdens when it comes to shipping out to Mexico, or shipping out to into India, or to China, or to Europe, and bringing stuff in as well, or even bringing stuff in, let's say, from shipping from China into the United States as a Canadian. There's special documentation that has to happen, and basically over these 15 years, I've made these connections when it comes to custom brokers around the world, freight forwarders, shipping lines as well, and I just understand how the system works based on tens of thousands of transactions that I've successfully completed. I'll say tens of thousands of transactions successfully completed inefficiently, and I look forward to doing it more efficiently, based on this platform. So, creating it and seeing how my business was inefficient. It's a little bit selfish, you can say, in a way, but it's a platform that I'd like everyone to use, and basically optimize how everyone's running their supply chain. So.
No, definitely. No, it's awesome to hear that you've obviously had a lot of time in the industry and stuff and seen the issues. One thing I was going to mention as well, as you just mentioned in regards to compliances and different laws and maybe tariffs, for example, that you encounter dealing with different countries. I'm curious as well, does Morpheus Network kind of, in any way, at least so far in the alpha, maybe down the road, are you guys planning on kind of countering in these factors in regards to these automated smart contract processes, and then also networking with other people on Morpheus Network, seeing as it's kind of an all-in-one ecosystem?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's going to be built into the system, upon global launch. Based on the harmonized code or tariff, based on which countries it's going to or coming. That's going to be built in. You're going to know the duty costs, and that's not something that we can work around again. This is not like there's a technology that we can get around the government that's going to charge you duty when you're importing a product, right? So
Yeah.
that's going to be built into the code. That's part of the development of the platform right now, and a future release that will show people how you put the product in, and we want the platform to be able to tariff it for you properly, duty it for you properly, so your total cost basically of the entire transaction from the start.
That's awesome, Dan. Yeah, I think it's important because when you're dealing with, again, for example, like the example you had on your website, you're dealing with multiple different countries. The process can get very complicated, but to have that automated to some degree, with smart contracts, and to not have to deal with the compliance over and over again with different changing systems, it seems like it's a much better process. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, Dan. I mean, this is really exciting stuff. So to kind of put it in a short, sweet summary here, from what you can tell us so far, because I want to keep up with the project, I'll be surely continue to talk about it on the channel as new developments come. But I'm curious from you personally, what can we hear about what's up and coming in regards to Morpheus? What's your next big objective? I understand you're dealing with the crowd sale right now and finishing that up, but what's down the road from what we can hear about?
Exactly. It's with supply chain. That's a great question. Think about supply chain. It's there's so much to it. So it's not like we have to solve one issue and then we're going to show everybody and this is how it is, right? So we have so many announcements down the road. We have so many modules that we want to demonstrate for everybody. So definitely keep an eye on our development. Because it's easy to come out with all these different amazing modules and announcements. So I don't want to necessarily reveal what the order is of how we're going
Gotta
to
keep quiet.
yeah, exactly. Let's make it a little bit exciting, but all these different modules, you can see that we're connecting them one by one, and I'm excited to reveal them one by one as well. And until basically global launch, when everything is functioning perfectly, and honestly, the development's going so smoothly. And as you can see, the MVP it's beautiful, but connecting to the back system, the IoT Sense system is just amazing as well. So I look forward to revealing all this stuff as it goes on, and yeah, that's basically it. You can see a lot of stuff coming out from us over the next year, and I'll even say that down the road, once this platform is fully active, our mission and our goal is still a global trade ecosystem that is trust of no issues. You can't create a contract unless you have the value in the system to actually fulfill that contract. So at this stage, we're incorporating outside third parties, but we're definitely looking for a decentralized global trade system for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, good long-term objective in that regard. And again, I mean, it just seems like there's not only a lot of issues to fix, the confirmation times between different players, cutting down costs in regards to foreign exchange transactions, and then also automating the industry. And the fact that you guys have a solid team, you can connect with legacy systems so far in the MVP. I mean, everything's looking pretty good. So I gotta give you guys some good credit in regards to that. And Dan, again, thank you for taking the time to talk about the project in regards to Morpheus.
Thank you for having me.
No
Thanks
problem.
for having me again. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I love talking about the project, of course. So, thank you for listening as well.
No problem, Dan. Definitely. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. But I'm curious as well, for those of you guys who stuck through the interview, if you guys have any questions that I didn't ask, and of course, hopefully Dan and the team at Morpheus will be able to answer them down below in the comments. Again, I know a pretty decent amount about the space, but I think Dan and others as well would be just as good to answer it. So again, if you guys have any questions, please leave it down below or reach out to the team personally, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer it. But again, thank you again, Dan, for coming on, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned.